All right, time for weekly outlook. I know I haven't put one out in a while, but we'll do one this week. Um, so got a pretty decent gap up. Hasn't really gone anywhere since. We've been holding above Friday's highs for the most part. For now, we'll see if we go get the backfill or not. I think the gap was a little smaller than most were expecting. It's like a 500 handle gap up on NQ. Didn't really ever trade back to the opening print. ES got pretty darn close to it. Not too long ago, but anyway. Um, All right, still at this area down on the daily. I know we kind of work towards the upper end of this multi-day balance down here. I got an inside day after that massive day Wednesday. Almost another inside day on Friday. I know on Q's we got another inside day. Um, right, but I know we've talked about this like on multiple weekly outlooks, but the idea still remains like which balance do you accept into, right? And now that we sort of ventured towards the lower end of this one, right? It failed to kind of go lower, kind of testing that upper end again, right? So, and kind of just trading into this little gap that we're kind of having an issue with as of now. Um, so that's the big question. The big picture idea is okay, which one do you accept into, right? And then we go from there. Um, on the 2025 profile, all of it's above us still, right? And this sort of, what is this, like a 4 or 5 week balance? If we're looking at it on the weekly, does most of your volume is built there, at least this year. Right? Extend this to where this year actually opens, and you can see most of that's higher, right? And you got a second one down here that should be the goal for buyers to try to find some acceptance back into. The issue is now you got your VWAP off the high there that we rejected off once, coming back down a little lower, and you have your EMAs curling, right? We haven't seen EMAs curling for a long time, at least pointing downwards. So still a long ways to go for buyers. I think you got to take it level to level. With this first big one probably being this like level down here at the last couple pivot lows, or sort of where this shelf comes in, right? Arguably here, right, in this last little pivot low, pivot low, pivot low, right? So that'll be like the first big level. If we can like see some more MGI above that, stack a couple of sessions up against that, maybe profile start looking like this, or start to see some excess down at the lows. Good sign, right? Uh, who knows? Maybe it makes quick work of this and can like sort of make a composite up here or whatever it may look like. Um, whatever time frame we're going to be trading on, I think we just look for acceptance above some of these levels up here. And same goes for NQ as well, right? Pretty similar. Um, Trouble though if we start trading back into the range of these last two sessions we saw Thursday and Friday. Okay, it sort of probably tells us we're going to continue seeing some sideways action within this, expected sideways, right? Obviously, if it starts to fail, then sure, we'll keep going lower, but expecting sideways within this till we're not. So, in terms of levels, I would probably watch. This is the top part. On the composite, you got this level down here, right? You got the shelf here, arguably. If we're looking at sort of this 2025 profile, more of what we've seen here, we kind of want to watch this upper end of this profile. Right? Let me merge this. This is the Friday, 2 Fridays ago included as well down here. So ideally, we want to, bulls. Best case scenario, just close the gap and keep going higher, or not even close the gap and then keep going higher. Right? If we start turning back into Friday's range, it becomes a little bit of an issue. I'm going to consider yesterday or Friday an inside day. It was actually quite. You almost got a limit down day. That was inside the prior session's range, right, which is a little absurd. I mean, I've seen quite a bit already, like in my 13 years of trading, but we didn't even limit down. We got closer. I know we went to the 7%. I don't think it spent like the 2 minute that it required to stay below. Hence, it didn't actually lock up. 2015 August was a crazy one where you had to whole bunch of limit downs, but anyway. Probably don't want this thing as a bull trading back into Friday's range at all. Right? If you do, I just want it to like wick it a little bit, maybe on like a 515, and not spend too much time below, and just get back over it and get long. If that doesn't happen, like yeah, shorts have a field day, right? I think if we just look at the last two sessions combined. Yeah, I mean, not much below us. I mean, you got small, tiny level there at like 53.37. I don't think it's too relevant. Yeah, pretty massive point of control there. I don't know where it's from, where it came. Did it come at the close of this session? Yeah, it did. Okay, so we'll disregard that. When they come at the close, I kind of like to disregard it a little bit. Right, so you see up here, that sort of comes in at the close. We will include the last 10 minutes. So yeah, we still have this level up here, right above the gap fill. You have this 37, 38 level. Does that make sense to watch? Maybe a little bit. Maybe we get rid of this one. This is Monday. We'll do last week's profiles. I mean, intraday, yeah, we can watch it as like a little inflection point. I wouldn't really put too much weight on it. I think the idea is just like, can we stay in this upper end, right? I'm gonna sort of treat this as like the value, right? So the idea being range bound within and just responsive activity towards the extremes and sideways until we're not, right? But now we have a chance for buyers to kind of take this out. So if this continues to bid, or regardless of how low this goes, if we get to reclaim it, I'm going to get long, right? Now that we're holding this, and let's say I'm not going to get involved right now this late. Maybe we work off of Wednesday's spike, excess high there, small shelf there on the composite. So maybe, since we're holding this now, I can go ahead and say, okay, if we're above this, let's try to get long off of this, with the idea that, okay, now we're holding this, let's take this higher. Right? But yeah, within this range, I don't want to really pay attention to anything. Are there opportunities like all over the place? Sure, there could be. I'm not saying you can't find any opportunities. Right? Probably plenty. Divvy this up into a couple other ranges as well if you want to work with that. You got a couple pivot highs there, pivot high there, pivot high there. Right at that like 5,300. Yeah, plenty of levels. I want to focus on the important ones and sort of get involved where I'm almost certain that we're sort of found acceptance and going into a direction. So this is what I'll work with, right, for the most part. Pretty weak lows down there. Weak lows down here. Right, and the goal being just try to find acceptance back into these last couple of lows. And this point of control here on the composite at 55.30, 31. I got a gap up there. Right, although you have these last couple pivot lows, I really, really want to see us trade back into this. Right, it's 2025, so it's a little choppy. Like it's not one big clean block that I want to see, similar to how we saw down here. But that would be the idea. Would be to take it up into this and try to find some acceptance into it. Okay. The only thing about this up here is we do have to be cautious of these moving averages here. Right, you got the 50, the 100, and the 200 on the daily. The anchored view up's a lot lower. We've rejected off it once. I don't know if you'll reject right off of it again. I'd probably primarily watch these moving averages, right? Starting in the 90s up to the, I don't know if this 100's gonna be too important. Maybe it's come down by the time we do trade up here, or if we trade up here. So with that sitting up there, yeah, I would be cautious into this. Okay. NQ, same idea. Their composite looks a little different. Why can I? Okay. All right, this is basically your 2025 profile, a little bit before, doesn't matter. But they got, for the most part, one big one here, another big one down there, right? And of course, we can divvy this up into 1, 2, 3. That's sort of what we've been doing most weeks. Point of control there at 300. Did a decent job becoming resistance here. Now we flipped it. This one did an okay job. Most of the value was built up here, and then this session came in and held for the most part. So just looking at these two sessions up against this 18,300 looks good. And doesn't mean like, can I get long here and just shoot for an all-time high? Like maybe it shoots an all-time high. That's sort of not the way I trade. I kind of just take it level to level. For sure, if we can find acceptance back into this, right, I'll take it up to the upper end here, and if we can get over there, sure. But I'm a level to level guy. Right? Sometimes big levels, but it's just. So this in and of itself looks good. Inside day, double inside day. So at this point, with the gap up, if we do get a retest RTH, it really needs to hold. Okay, we do not want this trading back into the range established Thursday and Friday. If that's the case, like I don't think I'm gonna trade, because I only like to long. Sometimes I'll short. Maybe I want to force the trade and I'll go short there, but I prefer the long side. So it may just be a no trade day for me. I might go trade crude or gold or whatever that looks good. So won't be touching it if we go below Monday, but the idea being, right, can we trade back into this range first? Right, does a decent job lining up with the composite here. I got these few up there, averages up there. So if we do approach this upper end, I would be careful. Yeah, we need to get back above this high that we established on Wednesday. Also lines up with some of these pivot lows we've seen recently. Right, hence the shelf down there. So that's the idea there. Right? If let's say you do fill back into Thursday, Friday's range, then wouldn't expect 300 to hold. I don't expect anything within this to hold really either. Right? Maybe you get another reaction off of like the lower end here. Maybe. I mean, you can divvy this up into a couple other ones, right? But I think you just go trade down to this. Right? Maybe even lower. So I think starting the week, bulls really need to defend this the gap. Really need to defend the gap. Okay, what the heck happened? Was that the right one? Okay, there we go. So with that being said, a couple more other levels on NQ that are near us. We kind of open right at that excess that we established Wednesday. We have the upper end of the profile here. Right, like if we're just looking at this, I really only see one balance here. Obviously, like the short-term ones is here, right? The 3-day balance here before you get this big move up, and then sort of divvy this up and say, okay, you got a 2-day balance going after this gap up, or after this tariff pause news, or so do not want to be trading back into Friday's range, also Thursday's range. If we cannot hold that, yes, there are levels here. You can work off of them intraday. I may as well, work off of them, but I'm not long here, like shooting for the moon, right? I'm not long here shooting for the moon. If I do get long here, looking to get long here, see something I like, then I'm just simply taking it up to the upper end, right? Where I just expect sellers to step back in again, right? And so until we're doing this, getting over the range and getting above this and going, right? I'm not very bullish. Now looks good. Maybe I want to see a back test come down and hold just to help sort of confirm that. But yeah, the idea would be to just trade back into this upper end, right? Sort of where this balance up here starts. So yeah, buyers really, really disgusting if it looks, he trade back into Friday's range. That's all I gotta say for downside. Upside looks great. Right, if we can trade back above, let's work a little bit more into that excess. I'll probably be primarily working with this like 950 level. I know I could come in here and say like, okay, you got like most of it starting here, arguably, sort of puts you closer to Wednesday's highs. I think I'm just gonna work with this down here at 350, or maybe this at 215. 215 looks good. That's where most of your pivot lows have been. And you got Wednesday spike base there as well. So immediate levels, these two, pretty darn important. And then it's just a matter of what you do there. Right now, I would think that you trade just back into this. Obviously, you can divvy this up into 2 or 3 or 4. I'm going to sort of work with the 1 and sort of this maybe one other important one down here, right? Sort of use that as another important level. And then you have those moving averages right there sloping down into this upper end. So I would be cautious of that when the time comes. Other than that, I would think you trade back into this and you kind of just traverse. Right. We still have to be very, very cautious of headlines intraday. So still in that kind of environment. I don't think VIX is just going to plummet off the face of the earth. It could. I think you just need more good headlines, though. So those are sort of the thoughts I got on ES and NQ. The gap looks bullish, not as large as I was expecting. I know Lutnick walked back his, not his comments, but sort of walked back some of the tariff stuff, the admin's tariff stuff, and said, it's just simply a pause. Sort of reiterated the fact that they're not going to be completely excluded from being tariff just for now, right? So we'll see what we do up against Friday's range, right? Regardless of, well, I don't want to say regardless of, if RTH during RTH we do come down and test it, I would need to see that the Friday's highs hold. Okay. On the notion, I'll put out some other levels. I mean, that's sort of like within like Friday's range and sort of last week's range, just so shorts have some targets and some levels to maybe be cautious of if you're trying to, be in and out of positions, not trying to hold for massive moves down. I will put those out, maybe throw on a couple more levels. Buyers, yeah, that gap looks good for now. Needs to go a little higher and hold some levels up there for me to really, really be bullish. Okay. And I think that wraps it up.